Before I begin this Who is Rebecca Scofield series and her motives for the murder of the University of Idaho students, let's just dispel the rumors. No, I do not know Rebecca Scofield. I'm not connected to her in any kind of way. I'm not emotionally tied to her or any of the victims. I'm not connected to anyone. I have no reason to lie on her. No, I did not just see her picture and name on the University of Idaho history page and then automatically feel it was her. This is not a feeling, this is knowledge. I have no feelings about this. I did a reading when I saw Rebecca Scofield on the history department's page on Rebecca Scofield and her connection. I also did readings on some of the other people and their connection to the University of Idaho crimes. What came out on their reading is how they responded to the crimes and how they were feeling about it. What came out in Rebecca Scofield's reading was how she implemented it, how she planned it, and why. Who is Rebecca Scofield, Part 2. So I asked the spirit, how did Rebecca Scofield and Kaylee meet? Rebecca Scofield and Kaylee connected because she needed an advisor. She was about to graduate. She wanted advice on personal growth, the next steps. Also, she needed resolution for anything or anyone that was getting in the way of her ability to graduate. So she went to Rebecca Scofield for advice. So initially, they met on an advisor-mentor basis. So then as the relationship progressed, Rebecca Scofield starts dropping cues about her interest in Kaylee, about her books, being primarily about LGBTQ, just planting seeds in her head, just letting her know she's interested in her and also letting her know about her sexuality. During this time period, Rebecca Scofield is in a dreamlike state. She's opened up that passion that she had suppressed for women that was now placed on Kaylee. So at this point, she's talking to Kaylee about her desire for her, but also her desire for women and how she suppressed those desires because of tradition and societal viewpoints. That she's put out work to change the narrative regarding LGBTQ community, but she was unable to follow her own advice. She tried to lead the world to a better understanding, but refused to follow it in her own heart. She knew she wanted to be a woman. She knew she was lesbian, but she didn't have the heart to live that life out loud. She said that she was so introspective that she lost her connection to her husband and that she needed to focus on her finding her truth and her inner healing. So being with Kaylee will allow herself to navigate this truth. But it would be hard for her to make a drastic change and just to leave her husband to be with Kaylee. So this experiment with Kaylee will help her to walk the middle path and have both. Who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 4. So then finally, Rebecca Scofield is clear about what she wants, and she wants to be with Kaylee. She had a deep desire for her. It feels like love, infatuation type love. Initially, the feelings were good, the emotions were good. They were satisfied physically and emotionally. They engaged in activities that brought them both pleasure, and they traveled a little so that they can go places. They went to upscale restaurants. They may have even had luxurious baths together. They indulged themselves, enjoyed each other. There was emotion, empathy, communication, love, passion. And then that's when Rebecca Scofield decided she was going to walk in her truth, live in her truth, leave the old way of living and pass behind, leave her husband, move towards a more authentic version of her life, which is to be with a woman. And that woman was Kaylee. But who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 6. At this point, Kaylee realizes that Rebecca Scofield has cyclical behaviors. 1 minute she's one way, harmonious, love, empathy, emotions, and the next minute she's controlling, possessive, aggressive, assertive. And the controlling behaviors was too much for Kaylee. She felt like it was no way out. She felt like Rebecca Scofield was possessive. Anytime Rebecca Scofield felt uncertain about what was going on with Kaylee and that she wasn't following her constrictions, she would take the initiative to go find what she was doing. So she may have even been the stalker. Her behaviors may have also been triggered by a lack of stimuli. During this time, Kaylee decides she's just going to take her space and enjoy her life in her me time, have fun with friends. She's shining on social media, and the whole time Rebecca Scofield is watching. Rebecca Scofield part 5. So at this point in the relationship, Rebecca Scofield is fantasizing about Kaylee and being with Kaylee. She's willing to leave her husband and realign her life to be with a life with Kaylee. So leave one situation into another. She decided she was going to choose herself in a rebellious act of self-love. She was on the cusp of doing this, and it wasn't going to be easy. She would have to mourn leaving that life behind with her husband, but she was embracing this new life that she thought she was going to have with Kaylee. But here's the thing. Kaylee was not a yes woman. Regardless of Rebecca Scofield being, 37 and Kaylee was 21, so over 15 years older than her, she wasn't just going to be told what to do. They needed to come to an agreement about their relationship, what that looked like, how that operated, and her and Kaylee was not seeing eye to eye. And they both had behaviors that they didn't like. Who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 7. So Kaylee took a break because she feels like relationships should be fluid and free instead of rigid and controlled. That healthy relationships include time being together, but also time being apart. And that compromise was required and that they needed to find a middle ground. She felt that Rebecca Scofield was emotionally needy and insecure. Kaylee felt like Rebecca Scofield wanted to dominate her and mold her so that she could feel less insecure and more comfortable. So they had a power struggle. So while Kaylee is on the break of the relationship, enjoying her me time, enjoying her friends, Rebecca Scofield is watching her. She feels even more insecure about it. It makes her think that she isn't worthy of love. So these negative thoughts are recurring. Then she decides that it's Kaylee that's making her miserable and that the relationship wasn't giving her the attention she needed and they lacked trust. She even thought of Kaylee as being deceptive. Who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 8. During this breakup, separation period with her and Kaylee, she was really sad. She did grow to appreciate the people that she had in her life, but she really yearned for that love that her and Kaylee had. So she reached out to Kaylee. She was willing to be flexible. She was willing to release constriction. At this time, Kaylee was still open to hearing from her and was glad that she kept her heart open and they got back together. Here's the thing. Kaylee was comfortable in her own skin, and she wanted the relationship to be out in the open, and she also wanted them to be faithful. Kaylee just felt like certain things are non-negotiable, but they came to a happy compromise. They met in the middle. At first, Kaylee was telling her to choose, but then ultimately agreed to being flexible. Kaylee felt like she deserved better and that she wasn't going to compromise herself for a relationship. And then, who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 8. When Kaylee and Rebecca got back together, they had a dance or established a plan on a way forward. And a part of that plan was Rebecca to live out her truth, come out in the open, make changes, and experience the best version of themselves. Be aware of the dynamics that were happening before and make sure it doesn't repeat again. But what they didn't see coming and what wasn't a part of the plan is this opportunity that came out of the blue from Texas. Kaylee felt like it was a miracle, that it came in perfect timing, that it was effortless, and that people came into her life to orchestrate this plan to help her advance. So it felt like it was divinely led. Although her and Rebecca Scofield were on good terms, this job that Kaylee got changed everything. She had a change of heart, she released the agenda, and she was preparing to leave. No more pain, no more drama. Who is Rebecca Scofield? Part 12. To reiterate, she decides to stay with her husband so that she can paint a pretty picture of herself on the outside. Remember in the readings before, it just kept saying degradation, dishonor. She needed to protect her name because coming out of the closet could hinder that, being caught with a student can hinder that, adultery could hinder that, because she was in the pursuit of a position in the university or in some type of government that she needed to keep her record clean in order to secure. This could be regarding the position that she had at the University of Idaho as the chair of the history department. Anyway, it was an op at work. She was reporting directly to somebody who was overbearing, who was micromanaging, messing stuff up, and it could have been some potential treason going on as well. It seems there was some sort of plot to get him taken out of his position and for her to take over. So she could not have any scandals at this time. It would get in the way of her meeting her goals. I don't show y'all the cards usually when I do readings, but watch this poem that somebody tagged me in that Kaylee wrote, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's evidence in the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students.
Most important is love. Like it's the only thing you know how. At the end of the day, all of this means nothing. This page, where we're sitting, your degree, your job, the money, nothing even matters except love and human connection. You, who you love, and how deeply you love them, how you touch the people around you, and how much you give.
And her plan that she had with the killer is not going to go through. It's not going to work out. I don't mean to stitch my own videos, but this is helping us to understand what's about to happen next. So in the stitch, the question was what Rebecca Scofield is going to do after she sees my videos. So we just got out of the part where she said she'd be relieved that people aren't going to be taking me seriously. That's related to the 300 to 400 accounts I just had to block. It was like a smear campaign for them to make me look crazy so that the information I put out will be overlooked. So that part, I blocked them. So that part of the timeline is out, and the next part of the timeline is her and the killer, Jack the Poor, coming together to see what they were going to do about it. What options do they have? When their next plan doesn't work, that's when they're going to realize they have run out of options. I feel like that's the part of the timeline we're on. The plan, what to do next, realize they run out of option, and then arrest. So anyway, Rebecca Scofield and Jack the Poor comes together, and she talks about me and how I'm a problem that needs to be solved. She asks him to solve the problem of me and my insights and putting it on social media and getting her caught. She was really upset about the part where I said her marriage is for convenience and she didn't want no marital problems, so she wanted to get rid of me, saying that what he's going through or what I'm doing is temporary. She's going to get rid of the problem. And she paid him for his previous work for the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students, some type of financial compensation. He then takes that, and instead of springing into action to get towards me, he pauses a little bit. He suspends action, and he starts to reflect on those around him and spend time with his family and friends and enjoy what he has. And during that enjoyment period and during that time of no action, that's when he's going to be arrested out of the blue. Also, have y'all noticed that I haven't been sued? So that's why some demand letters you take serious, especially if you really did do something wrong. But the ones that are used as a scare tactic, okay, so I spoke too soon. This is the case request for filing for a lawsuit against me from Rebecca Scofield. I'm not stopping, so let's just start there. But 2, this is giving us information about what her alleged alibi is for the night of the murder. And now I have information about what she's saying her alibi is. I'm gonna dig deep into that too. Also, why does she need 3 lawyers for me? 3 lawyers. Why does she need such a big defense team if she's so innocent? Why does she need all of that for me? You can screenshot this, but this is her complaint and those are her lawyers. You can Google that document. You can Google Scofield versus Guillard or Ashley Guillard, Idaho, and it'll pull up. Why does she need 3 lawyers for little O/big O, for real, me? Now I'm gonna use my brain to see what's coming from this.